Hi, my name is Sarah Strader, and I have a question for this side. It seems that
just for those who can't see you, you want to ask?
For the team for the motion.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. It seems that a strong correlation has been drawn between gerrymandering and voter polarization, but I wonder if it's possible that the direction of causation could be reversed. So could it be that the shrinking of the political center has itself played a role in causing the recent uptake in dramatic gerrymandering, that partisans don't think they can win over non-existent moderates, so as a result, they then resort to more heavily redistricting?
What a fantastic question. David, do you want to take that? And I do want to let the other side respond to that question as well.
Sure.
David Daley.
I think we just saw an election in which lots of states that hadn't flipped in many years did flip and go the other way. So certainly there are still people out there who are open to persuasion and possibility. What has changed over time is the amount of data that is available to these map makers, and I mean, really, 2010 is ground zero for this. I mean, think about the way you texted in 2000 or even 2003. It was completely different than what you're able to do in 2011 when these map makers draw the lines, and the kind of information that they have. When these maps zig and zag, we used to look at them and say, "Oh, that's just a funny Rorschach test. It's it's a drunken sailor." But I mean, I got out and I drove them as I was writing this book, and you see the purpose and the mission behind them when you are up close. You see the way the neighborhoods change across a street even sometimes, and why those lines are there. And it's because the data is so good that those of us who are persuadable, they know who you are. Those of you who are not persuadable, they've got a pretty good sense of who you are, and they can draw these in such a way that even these districts that look like they're 53, 54, 55% districts, that's solid these days because they know who the 53 are. They know if you turn out, and they can take all of these public record data sets and match them up against your consumer preferences, against the census.
Okay, let me let Chris Jankowski respond as well.
Well, sure. First, there weren't a bunch of states that flipped. There were a small handful. And what happened in those states? Wisconsin, Trump won by about 27,000 votes. Turnout was up 124,000 votes from 12. But Clinton got 231,000 fewer votes. 231,000 fewer votes than Obama in 12. And when you look at where those fewer votes came out of, they are Democrat base areas. The base did not come out. It wasn't, sure, Trump did a better job in, quote, flipping the map, yes, and bringing the blue-collar white voter over. Yes, they turned out more. But those kind of numbers are only made up by a complete loss of Democrat-based votes. Same thing at Michigan, 13,000 vote margin roughly right now. They're still going, I believe. That's a 58,000 more voters turned out overall from 12. Almost 300,000 fewer votes for Clinton. And when you look at it, and the voter file will be available, but you can already see from the returns that came from the Democrat base area. So bases, adjustments in bases are changing these elections and flipping them.
And how does what you're saying support your point in the motion, argument of the motion?
To go back to earlier questions and volleys on how do I define the center? The center is that group of voters in the middle that are willing to go between elections and switch parties based on the candidate. And the objective data that we've provided, the Pew research, shows that 6 in 10 of Americans not only won't switch, they think the other party's going to destroy the country. And it doesn't get that much better for the next 30%. And so what I see over and over again, you can talk about the issues without putting a partisan label. You can talk about gun control, you can talk about education, you can talk about school choice, you can talk about abortion, you name it. And you can focus group it, and I have many focus groups. As soon as you start putting partisan labels on it, and a label on candidate X is a Republican, this is a Democrat, people divide, and that narrow center is very small. That is the polarization. Gerrymandering has been indicted, convicted, and sentenced to life tonight, and fine. It doesn't prove their proposition. America is divided and polarized, and you can see it from what happened last week.